The Seattle Seahawks rookies have reported to training camp for the 2025 season. What's going on, everybody? Good Wednesday morning. Hope you guys are doing well today. And we've got a couple of updates on the Seattle Seahawks in the immediate aftermath of their rookie report day for the 2025 season. Like I said in yesterday's video, yesterday was the day where the rookies for the Seattle Seahawks were supposed to report to the VMac. And we have a couple of little updates concerning that, because when I made the video that I posted yesterday, I said that to the best of my knowledge at that time, there weren't any holdouts, there weren't any situations regarding these players not showing up, there wasn't any friction to the best of my knowledge at that time. Well, things have changed a little bit since then. If you are following the Seahawks, like a lot of people who follow my channel do, you probably already heard this, but let's go ahead and talk about it for a couple of minutes here, because Brady Henderson and several others as well have reported that the two unsigned second-round picks were not showing up to the VMac, and my understanding is they are, as of right now, not there. So even though neither player officially announced a holdout of any kind, even though neither player publicly announced any particular displeasure with the way this is going, they are currently not there. And that is, at the very least, suboptimal. It may not be that big of a deal. And every team in the league is dealing with this, right? Because every team in the league outside of the Bengals and, no, not the Bengals, the Browns and the Texans has unsigned second rounders. So before we go any further into this, please give this video a thumbs up if you haven't already. Subscribe if you're new. Click the bell for notifications. Become a channel member for $2 a month. Those are the best ways to support the channel. Brady Henderson goes into this a little bit more here. Both players practiced over the spring after signing what is known as a participation agreement with the team, a common move that assures an unsigned rookie will get his slotted contract even if he's hurt while practicing. But those agreements don't really apply to training camp. And I talked about this yesterday, but the player is not under contract. So therefore, the holdout rules where you can get fined for not showing up, and there's a lot of very restrictive language now around a holdout, those don't apply here. All right. Basically, I don't want to make a big deal out of this because, again, we are not the only team dealing with this, but I was under the impression that the only second-round rookie that was kind of raising some displeasure about his situation was the Trey Harris of the Chargers. So it's not great, right? These are two players that we are hoping will make significant rookie season contributions. And in the case of Emmanwori in particular, is a player who might effectively have a starting role. I don't know, but if Emmanwori is playing full-time nickel corner this year, that means he's out there for most of the snaps. And if Noah Fant is gone, which I still think has a pretty good chance of happening, then Arroyo becomes your number one receiving tight end. Therefore, these are guys who need to get in the building and get to work. This first week, before the veterans show up, it's not the end of the world to not be here, although I would say it is still suboptimal. But as we get into next week, as we get into the actual on-field work that should start on, I believe, the 23rd, so a week from today, we're going to need these guys in here. Hopefully, this gets resolved quickly. Again, I think the Emmanwori part of this is, I understand that teams are working every little angle they can to save as much money and as much flexibility as possible, and I'm not begrudging them that, but I'm going to say it again. What are the odds that Nick Emmanwori is such a disaster that you want to move off of him after less than 4 seasons? with everything that we know about him. He's young. He's relatively inexperienced because he was only in college 3 years. He's probably not going to start at his natural position in his first season. He's probably going to be playing, to a certain extent anyway, out of position this rookie year. Is this really a guy that you're going to throw the towel in on after 3 years or 2 years? And also, these second round contracts are not that big. You are talking about saving maybe a million, maybe at most $2 million in that worst case scenario. Probably less, honestly. Get this done. The Arroyo thing, I'm a little more sympathetic towards, but like I said yesterday, if Trey Harris, the Chargers guy, is getting his fully guaranteed deal, then Arroyo's going to get his. That's just math. There's no way Arroyo's going to accept less when a player that got picked several spots behind him gets that. So that's the main thing that's going on here. Get this resolved. The only other news we have concerning this first day of rookies reporting to camp was a handful of players getting put on the non-football injury list. Although I kind of reject the notion of what Riley Mills has being a non-football injury because he got hurt playing football for Notre Dame, but whatever. Technically, he didn't get injured playing for the Seahawks, right? But we have these 6 players currently on the non-football injury list. We got Riley Mills. Like I said, we knew about that. I don't expect Riley Mills to do much as a rookie. He's coming off a pretty major injury, and the 3-tech depth chart in front of him is very crowded. I could see him maybe getting a few snaps a game instead of somebody like a Mike Morris, but in this circumstance, I don't think he's going to really play. Got cornerback Zy Alexander, which he's already got an uphill battle to make the roster now because of Shaq Griffin being in town, so that's not good. That's definitely not a good sign. Tyrone Broden, he's the really freakish athlete guy who has miserable hands and didn't really produce in college. So him being injured, that just reduces his opportunities to make an impression. I got to believe his physical talent gives him a chance to make the practice squad, but he was never going to make the roster anyway. Wide receiver, Montori Foster, linebacker, De'Aaron Jackson, and cornerback, Isis Waxter. The Waxter one, again, I think the odds were against him making the team at this point, and maybe they're even against him making the practice squad because of the Shaq Griffin thing. But he was another guy that people were kind of high on. People liked him, so it's not great that a lot of our top UDFAs are starting off on the NFI. The good news is, if you remember last year, we had a pretty long, well, not a long list, but a non-trivial list of players that were on the non-football injury list when rookies first reported for camp, and they got off the list within like a few days. And in fact, I think most of the players that we had start out on the non-football injury list were off the list within like less than a week, I'm going to say. If I recall correctly, it was very quick. We could see that again this year. Maybe by the time practice actually starts, the only guy on the NFI is going to be Riley Mills. If that is the case, then that's about as good as you could hope for. And also, good news here, one of the names not on this list is Torrey Horton. I've talked before about how I think Torrey Horton has a non-trivial role to play on the 2025 Seahawks if he can get in the work that he needs to get in during his rookie training camp. And the fact that he's not on this list is a really good sign. Okay, so that's all we have so far. That's probably not much. There's probably not much more that we're going to get over the next week, to be perfectly honest. Again, I'm hoping a lot of these players get off the NFI in the next couple of days. Maybe we'll hear about that. And the most important thing, hopefully, is that we get good news here. I'm going to say it again. I understand the need for teams to protect their interests as much as possible, but it's time to be realistic here. Nick Emmanwori is looking at the 2 players that went the 2 picks and 1 pick before him and looking at what they got, and he's thinking, I deserve that too. 33, 34. They got the fully guaranteed deals. I'm 35. What's the difference? Got to make it happen. Period. You don't have to like it, but this is going to be the new reality in the NFL going forward. Get mad at the Bengals, get mad at the Texans for doing it if you want to, but it happened. You can either accept it or you can live in denial of it and be denied things that other teams that are eventually going to embrace it will be getting. All right. That's it for this video. I think there's going to be another video later today. Keep an eye out for it. Should be going live sometime in the afternoon. Everyone have a great rest of your day. Go Hawks. Let me know what you think down below.